this was another level.
Let the evidence speak to you.
Karen saying that I was right is...
I just saw this tweet.
I knew I was right with it.
So what do you think? Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for part 2 of this special edition of Ask the Expert. I'm Heather Barnhart, and I have with me again Ian Whiffin, and we're discussing the Karen Read case. If you didn't watch part 1, go back and spend the time to understand how Ian got involved in this case, some of the chaos behind it, and what the key digital evidence actually was. So Ian let the evidence tell the truth, and he simply testified to that truth. In part 2, we want to focus on that. So Ian was amazing in court. The judge was even smiling at you, Ian, when you were done testifying. I felt like everyone wanted to give you a round of applause. But in addition to this case taking its own life form, the Karen Read supporters, all the noise at the courthouse, so much media chatter everywhere, you turned off your notifications. You were getting distracted by all of the noise. Before we even talk about how you prepared to do that, I will say, even in the Idaho murder prep, when I asked you, Ian, should I watch these things? Should I listen to these things? You're like, absolutely not. Isolate yourself. That was some of the best advice that I think all of us could take. You need to let the evidence speak to you and not really let social media or the conspiracy theorists out there sway you in one way or another. All right, so we're going to talk about prepping, Ian. Prepping for this case, which we know you spent many, many hours doing. If you have not watched Ian testify, it's on YouTube, it's on Court TV YouTube, it's everywhere. I've had many students that come up to me after I teach for SANS and they say, hey, we make all of our new people watch this. Hey, we make even our trained investigators watch this. Because the way Ian can explain extremely technical details to, I think even my dad would understand what you meant, is astounding. So I personally thank you, and I love learning from you and watching you do this, but this is truly the masterclass. If you want to learn how to do courtroom testimony, you watch Ian Whiffin. I'm going to give you a little applause here. This is also why my family, the kids, think Ian's a doctor, because he's so smart. So he's Dr. Whiffin, according to our household. But I want to break you through, or walk you through, I should say, key concepts and advice and methodologies you use for people to testify successfully in court. So I'm going to give you your points and then have you just chime in with, what do these actually mean to you?
Sure.
The first one, know your evidence and know it deeply.
So really it's easy to just create a report and present the data. But you really need to understand what that data means. How did that data get on the device? Why is it there? What are the other possibilities that could explain it? Is it deleted? If it's deleted, how was it deleted? All these kind of components that really mean that you understand the data rather than just showing what the data is on the device. Like, did somebody do a search, or is it the result of an autocomplete? Were they at a location, or did they just search for the location? There's so much data you can get from a device that can mean different things. You really need to understand what you're testifying to.
I love that. And I've been feeling the pain of that one myself. All right, next up, identify the make or break evidence. So make or break in quotes.
Yeah, so I think this comes with experience. After a while, you start to recognize not just which artifacts exist, but which are the important ones, which are the ones that you really need to spend additional time validating, verifying, testing, researching. If it's simply like an SMS message, for example, that exists on the device, it's pretty straightforward. We know why the SMS message was there. So it may be really good evidence, but it's also really easy to explain. And I think everybody in the world understands what an SMS message is. But if we're talking about something such as a location, for example, there are multiple reasons the location could be there. It could be really important information. So you really need to know why it's there. And that's why you kind of focus on it and do the additional validation and testing.
Fantastic. All right, now the third one, which I think personally is difficult. and this is where I could let my mind run for days on end. How do you prepare for the toughest questions?
I let my mind run for days on end. Legitimately, like, I go over all of my reports. I'll just mention as well, my reports are pretty detailed anyway. For example, for this second trial, I did about 150, 160 pages of reports. About half of that was the actual data, and about half of it was the testing, the research, the validation, everything that supported my opinion and my position that I made in my report. So having all that information there is available for the prosecution to read. It's available for the defense to read. Everybody knows where I stand and why I stand there. And it's also useful for me while reviewing my evidence and looking back at it to understand and to remind myself this is why I have that opinion. I've already tested this. I don't need to think about that too deeply again because it's already on paper. Um, I also try to guess what are the questions that I'm going to be asked. Like, what is the real sticking point of this data? What's the question going to be, and how can I answer it? And there's no possible way that you can cover all bases. There was a few questions caught me out in this trial, uh, but on the whole, I knew what to expect, and I had a good idea what I'd be talking to.
Yeah, I think if you put yourself mentally in both sides of the courtroom, it helps you be a better witness
Oh,
overall.
for sure. Put yourself in the position of the prosecution, of the defense, and of the jury. Like, do they understand, or are they likely to understand what I'm explaining here? How common is this kind of information to somebody who doesn't work in digital forensics?
Exactly. All right, so based upon that, your fourth tip is to tailor your approach on each case.
Yeah, this is really about how to conduct the digital investigation. Like, depending on the kind of case, depends on how you approach the data. Uh, the example I typically give is if you've got a victim who's found at home, for example, location data may not be relevant because you know where they are, you know where they've probably been most of the time. But if you find a victim out in the middle of the road, in the field, or somewhere unexpected, then location data becomes a priority because you want to know where they were before this location. Similarly, communication data may not be relevant if you're looking at a vehicle collision, for example. But if you're in more of a domestic situation, then communication could be key. So it's really about tailoring how you conduct the investigation, how you write the report based on the kind of investigation it is to make sure that you're focusing on the right elements.
Exactly. And I also think that we aren't sitting at a desk all day, every day being investigators and examiners anymore. We are brought in to do specific things and validation and make sense of data that sometimes then expands to everything.
Oh,
So
for sure.
focusing on what's being asked, I think helps, but then speaking up when something doesn't make sense and needs to lead you down another path.
Yes.
All right, your final one. This is advice I could take in my everyday life. Block out the noise.
Yeah, so this particular case was kind of unique to me. Like I've testified in many cases before. Several of those have been relatively high profile, but this was another level. Uh, Personally, I found I had to turn off Twitter. I didn't open Twitter or X for probably about 8 months. I was very careful other social media platforms I was using to block out anything that was related to the case. Uh, I didn't want to know, basically. I don't want my uh, kind of opinion to be shifted based on what I'm seeing online. All I want to know is the data that's put in front of me. That is the data that I have to testify to and understand. I don't need that outside influence. So essentially, ignore everything apart from the data.
It also didn't help when you had a team of people reminding you of something they saw. I just saw this tweet. It wasn't helpful to you. So we
This is true.
apologize, Ian.
We got through it.
We had your back all along. But that's what you were so firm in your mind on, yep, I'm just going to ignore it. Me, I probably would have like poured myself a glass of wine and walked right into that chaos and then cried into my wine glass. So good for you. Seriously,
Waters down the line.
it's a lesson for all of us. But now we're going to do, historically, this has been called mean tweets. And I remember seeing Peyton Manning reading something awful about himself where someone said he looked like a horse. It was terrible to watch these celebrities read all of this. Ian, you're a celebrity in our household. So I am going to read these mean tweets or mean X's, whatever we call it, and see what you think about this. And the names are blurred out, okay? If you want, I could tell you, sometimes I can see how many views there were.
Don't need to
And
know.
there's a cuss word, so I'm gonna say beep, okay? Ian Whiffin didn't explain. He misinterpreted data to fit the prosecution's case. He screwed up in the first trial and changed his testimony and the Cellebrite report for the second trial.
Interesting. I don't believe my position changed at all regarding the Google search in trial one and trial two. And I
But
can
did you manipulate
demonstrate
your report?
I presented the data from the device and demonstrated my position. Obviously, we changed the tool to reflect
Yeah.
the new understanding, but it was unrelated to what the prosecution may have wanted.
Yeah, upgrading your tooling is different than being a tool and modifying a report. So thank you
100%.
for not. Only 79 views, Ian. So the world didn't really even see that person. All right, you ready? I can't wait. I want to know what you guys think of the data. Tell Ian Whiffin to get lost and go do his job at Cellebrite. But
Okay,
you did do your job.
I did.
You fixed the tool. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's another one. Seriously, I'd be curious to know how many taxpayer dollars we spent solely in attempt to vindicate Jen McCabe. How much was paid to Ian Whiffin and Cellebrite to change their whole software to try to discredit the 227 Google search timestamp?
Okay, I'm quite happy to answer this one. My flight and my hotel was paid for twice. Other than that, I received and Cellebrite received nothing.
I love it. Okay. Doing it because you care about the data.
Doing it
Okay.
because it was the right thing to do, for sure.
Yeah, and not saying who was guilty or who was not. For the record, anyone watching, I used to always ask Ian, like, so what do you think? So what do you think? Like, I just wanted his opinion, and Ian's like, well, the data shows this.
Exactly. That's all I can speak to.
All right, now this one, 54 views, okay? 54 people around the world saw this. Ian Whiffin was not credible. Come on. You're not
Okay.
credible, Ian, all right?
Okay. I mean, everyone has an opinion.
59 views. Ian Whiffin didn't destroy anything except at Cellebrite's credibility.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. I present the data. I believe, from Cellebrite's point of view, we did the right thing, and I'll die on that hill.
Well, Celebrate had your back 100% through and through on all of this. So I feel like our credibility skyrocketed because of your brain. So thank you. Seriously, we are trusted. You are trusted. I think our team of experts are more trusted now than ever before because of your
Awesome.
testimony. All right. Now there's a new one. Okay. This is the best one. So there's a picture of Mark Zuckerberg in his gray t-shirt and you
Okay.
from your Artex website or your double black in your gray t-shirt. And it says, am I on crack or is Mark Zuckerberg and Ian Whiffin essentially the same damn person? Hashtag Karen Reed.
My bank account would
You
disagree.
do look alike in this picture a little bit.
It's a very old picture.
You have the same haircut too, Ian. But you don't make as much money probably.
Guaranteed.
All right. So beyond all these mean tweets and all this ridiculousness and people just being social trolls, in the end, all over the battle of that 2:27 a.m. timestamp, in the second trial, Karen Reed actually said she was not having her defense expert return because Ian Whiffin was right.
Are we going to hear from Richard Green in this trial?
No.
Why not?
I believe the evidence is all out and in part from Ian Whiffin.
How does that make you feel, Ian, that Karen said your name on the screen and said Ian Whiffin was right?
So I mean, it was validation. I was already confident in my answer. I knew I was right with it. I was disappointed that the defense didn't put their expert on the stand to put his opinion across and to have that kind of debate and to evidence their position. But Karen saying that I was right is a close second. I'll take it.
I love it. And I can't speak on behalf of Karen Reed, but how you did your report and the level of detail on what was on the device versus what was on your test device and how sure you were, that had to prove to her that she didn't need an expert of her own because you were an expert for everyone.
I hope so. I tried to provide a balanced opinion. Like I wasn't necessarily there for prosecution. I was there for the data. And whoever it helped, I don't really care. I'm just presenting the data that's there.
I love that. Well, Ian, seriously, thank you for being Cellebrite's top expert in my mind. Seriously, and I'll say that because I saw social media or some public thing recently that Jared and I own Cellebrite. So Ian, you are our favorite expert as an owner of Cellebrite because you can't believe everything you read. But all your work that you put into this, all of the efforts, the education that you gave us along the way on your testing, I don't even know that you even consider that, but how much you educated all of us along the way has been phenomenal. We're lucky to be on your team. We love the work that you do. Thank you all for tuning in. But Ian, most importantly, thank you. We appreciate you at Cellebrite.
Thank you.